Doong, the largest cave on our planet. This cave is so enormous that it contains an entirely self-sustaining ecosystem with its own unique climate. Hundreds of meters beneath the Earth's surface, clouds like the ones you normally see in the sky form inside the cave. Doong even hides a pristine prehistoric rainforest deep underground, along with a massive underground river. From transparent fish to colorful monkeys, more than 250 endemic species of plants and animals live in this underground world. 7 newly discovered animal species exist only in this remarkable place. Stretching for 9 kilometers, the cave contains 38.5 million cubic meters of space. Its passages are so vast that a 40-story skyscraper could fit comfortably inside. Towering star-shaped stalagmites rise like the skyscrapers of an ancient city. As you walk through the cave, it's impossible not to feel as tiny as an insect. Can a rock move on its own? Doong even contains rare phytokarst formations that slowly move toward the sunlight like semi-living organisms. Rare cave pearls and many other unique geological formations can also be found here. For 3 million years after its formation, the world knew nothing about this cave until it was fully explored in Vietnam in 2009. Now it's time to witness the largest cave on Earth. Independent visits are strictly prohibited to protect both visitors and the cave's fragile environment. The expedition is operated exclusively by Oxalis, the only company authorized to lead tours here. To reach Doong, we trekked through dense jungle for 9 hours. Before entering it, we had to pass through Hang En, the third largest cave in the world. This cave serves as the gateway to the world's largest cave. It's essential to be fully prepared for any situation that may arise. So before starting this journey, we carefully researched Doong and the surrounding area online to learn everything we needed to know. Now we are heading toward the beach inside the cave. Over countless centuries, water from nearby rivers gradually shaped this place. The cave ceiling rises 145 meters high, while the passage is 200 meters wide. During the flood season, most of this enormous chamber is submerged. You can tell from that basket over there. The water level can rise high enough to carry large objects all the way to the surface. With a beautiful lake stretching out before us, the view is breathtaking. It's hard to resist taking a quick swim. At sunset, the songs of birds echo throughout the cave. Because their legs are short and weak, these birds cannot take off from flat ground. Instead, they must leap from a high place to become airborne. If they become trapped on the ground, it almost certainly means death. This unfortunate bird wasn't so lucky and is now waiting for its inevitable fate. When the sun rose, we were finally ready for our journey into Doong. If Hang En were considered a neighborhood, then Doong would be an enormous city by comparison. We were about to leave the last traces of daylight behind and enter complete darkness. At that moment, I couldn't help but wonder what awaited us inside Doong. As we walked, dozens of crickets scattered across the cave floor, leaping from side to side. The ground beneath our feet was covered with bad guano that had accumulated over hundreds of years. Above us, countless bats hung silently in deep sleep, while a few were awake and constantly relieving themselves on us. That's why it's not a good idea to look up. This is what my arm looks like right now. We passed massive rock formations that resembled travertine limestone. Limestone terraces guided us toward the trail leading into Doong. Wow. The scenery here is absolutely spectacular. Water cascades down from both sides, creating an unforgettable view. Hang En had welcomed us for one night deep in the jungle. Now it was finally time to explore Doong. It's trying to get closer to me. Look, it's actually moving toward me. It seems to know exactly what to cling to. It's grown incredibly large. Beneath the ground we are walking on lies a 450 million year old limestone layer, formed long before humans, or even dinosaurs, ever existed. This calcium-rich limestone was created from the shells and skeletons of ancient marine creatures that settled on the ocean floor and were compressed over millions of years. Because calcium dissolves easily in acidic water, slightly acidic rainwater slowly eroded the limestone over immense periods of time, carving out enormous underground chambers. That's how the world's largest cave was formed, through the gradual dissolution of limestone by rainwater. One final challenging descent brought us to the magnificent entrance of Doong cave. As we ventured deeper inside, everyone switched on their headlamps. This route would take us to the famous Passage of Hope and Vision. Within this 9-kilometer-long cave lies an astonishing world waiting to be explored. We might even become some of the first people to document newly discovered species. This is the entrance to Doong cave. Just look at how tiny the people standing at the entrance appear. After taking only a few steps inside, we were already surrounded by breathtaking cave formations. Mineral-rich water dripping from the ceiling and walls has spent countless centuries creating beautiful natural pools and spectacular formations. The first creature to greet us was a cave cricket. We carefully made our way across giant boulders. Some stalagmites shimmered with a brilliant white color because of the minerals that formed them. They almost looked like giant diamonds. Nearby stood an enormous bronze-colored stalactite resembling a frozen waterfall. Its orange-brown color reveals the presence of iron and other minerals mixed into the limestone. Some of these massive stalactites have actually broken away from the ceiling and crashed onto the cave floor. The crack running through the one in the middle is a fault line created by tectonic movement. The immense size of Doong is not only the result of water erosion, it was also shaped by tectonic forces that fractured the rock, allowing water to penetrate deeper and gradually carve out these colossal passages. A powerful underground river flows through this section of the cave. If you were to fall into it, swimming would be nearly impossible because the current is incredibly strong. Heavy rainfall feeds the rivers above, and that water eventually rushes through the cave, forming this fast-moving underground river. How did all of this come to exist? We were now hundreds of meters beneath the surface, deep inside the cave where no sunlight could reach. During major floods, raging waters can carry soil, tree trunks, and seeds deep into the cave. That's why we found a seed beginning to sprout here. Unfortunately, without sunlight, it won't survive for long. The floods also carry fungal spores into the cave. As a result, mushrooms now grow in this dark environment. The constant humidity and complete darkness provide ideal conditions for them to thrive. Just yesterday, the water had risen to this very spot, leaving behind a thick layer of mud. Everything looked so fresh, almost as if an earthquake had just struck. The signs of nature's immense power were still clearly visible. We had finally reached the Passage of Hope and Vision, the largest chamber inside Doong. I was standing beside the world's tallest stalagmite, an incredible formation that rises 80 meters high. On average, it takes around 800,000 years for mineral-rich water dripping from the ceiling to build a stalagmite of this size. The reason it grew so massive is that this section of the cave has a ceiling more than 170 meters high and is over 130 meters wide. The chamber is so enormous that it could easily accommodate a 40-story skyscraper, and even a double-decker airplane could fly through it. Far ahead you can see a faint beam of daylight shining through the cave's first dolin. That's where we are heading next. As we walked forward, we noticed a layer of thin white clouds drifting just above the ground. What was causing this? A spider's web. When an insect becomes trapped and its struggle sends vibrations through the web, the spider rushes out, bites its prey, and quickly returns to its shelter to feed. Nearby stood strange formations known as sand towers. As water drips from above, small pebbles protect the ground directly beneath them, while the surrounding sediment is gradually eroded away. Over time, this process leaves behind delicate pillars that resemble the skyline of a miniature city. Look closely. There's actually a person standing on top of that rock. Far in the distance, another member of our team was standing on a natural rock slide nearly 60 meters long. After trekking about 3 kilometers through the cave, we finally reached our campsite. Imagine falling asleep in a place like this, surrounded by one of the most extraordinary landscapes on Earth. From here, you can already see part of the first dolin. At first glance, it looks like the cave's exit, but it's actually just the first of two enormous collapsed skylights that allow sunlight to enter. From this point onward, everything becomes even more incredible. The temperature difference between the outside air and the cool interior of the cave creates mist, and even clouds inside Sondung. The area beyond is known as Watch Out for Dinosaurs. That's where we'll be exploring tomorrow. But for now, it's finally time to get some rest. The next morning had finally arrived. Today would be one of the most exciting days of the expedition. Let's go. We crawled through a series of narrow passages to reach our first stop. The space was incredibly tight. These sticky threads hanging from the ceiling belong to cave glowworm larvae. They produce a greenish light from their tails to attract flying insects. When an insect becomes trapped in the sticky strands, the larva reels the thread back in with its mouth and devours its prey. The limestone surrounding us is among the oldest in Southeast Asia, dating back more than 400 million years. While some ancient marine organisms became part of the limestone itself, others were mineralized over time and preserved as fossils, like the one you can see here. We'll learn more about this fossil later. We're almost there. It takes nearly 20 seconds for a drop of water to fall from the ceiling, all the way to the ground. How tall is this wall? About 140 meters. Everything inside Sondung feels unimaginably enormous. Looking upward, you can see the treetops of a rainforest surrounding the opening above. Yet we're still deep inside the cave, standing far below the surface. Why does this giant opening exist? Hundreds of thousands of years ago, the underground river flowing through Sondung gradually eroded the limestone and weakened the cave roof. Eventually, the ceiling could no longer support its own weight and collapsed, creating the gigantic sinkhole above us. Sunlight pouring through this opening gave life to mosses, algae, and countless other plants. Later this afternoon, we'll continue to the second dolin. It's completely different from the first. There's an actual rainforest growing inside it. But before we get there, let's take a look at one of the cave's most extraordinary formations. This is another stalagmite, but unlike any you've probably seen before. Its unique layered appearance was created by cascading mineral-rich water over thousands of years. These remarkable formations are called phytokarst. They are extremely rare limestone structures formed through the combined growth of algae, mosses, microorganisms, and calcium carbonate. Because both biological and geological processes are involved in their formation, they are often described as being partly living and partly non-living. Here you can actually see these phytokarst formations slowly growing toward the sunlight, almost like giant stone hands reaching out from the cave. After climbing nearly 1 kilometer through darkness, we finally reached our next destination. This is the second dolin. It's much larger than the first, and it's absolutely breathtaking. Astonishingly, we are now standing inside a real forest, hidden within the world's largest cave. Look around. The vegetation here is incredibly dense. This section of the cave roof collapsed where two major geological faults intersected, creating an opening that reaches the surface 252 meters above where we are standing. The collapse allowed sunlight to flood into the cave, giving birth to an entirely new ecosystem. Despite the harsh conditions, plants and animals gradually adapted, transforming this place into a unique underground tropical rainforest unlike anywhere else on Earth. As we walked toward the sunlight, the trees became noticeably taller. The soil here is exceptionally fertile, perfect for supporting a tropical rainforest. A large portion of it is made up of bad guano that has accumulated over millions of years, creating a nutrient